हरे कृष्ण शरद प्रभु जी। दंडवत प्रणाम टू ऑल डिवोटीज।
दंडवत प्रणाम माता जी। हरे कृष्णा।
हरे कृष्णा प्रभु जी, दंडवत प्रणाम।
दंडवत प्रणाम। We can start with the kirtan.
Yeah, Lalita Prabhu ji will be doing the kirtan today. Lalita Prabhu ji, you can start with the kirtan. Hare Krishna.
Yes, yes.
Mamta Mataji, kindly I am doing the request. Kindly share the lesson 55 PPT when I do recap. Okay, Mataji.
Yeah, Mataji, please go ahead. You can start with the Guru Pranam. I think she's joined you.
Yes, yes.
हरे कृष्णा। दंडवत प्रणाम टू ऑल डिवोटीज। वाञ्छाकल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपा सिन्धुभ्येव च पतितनं पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः। श्री प्रभुपाद की जय हो। श्रीमद् भागवतम की जय हो। वन्देऽहं श्रीगुरु श्रीयुतपदकमलं श्रीगुरुन् वैष्णवांश्च श्रीरूपं साग्रजातं सहगणा रघुनाथावितां तं सजीवं साद्वैतं सावधूतं परिजनसहितं कृष्णचैतन्यदेवं श्रीराधा कृष्णपादान् सहगणा ललिता श्रीविशाखावितांश्च नमो विष्णुपादाय कृष्णप्रेष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्तिवेदान्त स्वामिने इति नामिने। नमस्ते सारस्वते देवे गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेषा शून्यवादी पाश्चात्यदेशतारिणे नमो महावदान्याय कृष्ण प्रेम प्रदायते कृष्णाय कृष्ण चैतन्य नाम्ने गौरद्विषे नमः। नमो ब्राह्मण देवाय गो ब्राह्मण हिताय च जगद्विताय कृष्णाय गोविन्दाय नमो नमः। वाञ्छाकल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपा सिन्धुभ्येव च पतितनं पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः। जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद, श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौर भक्त वृंद। हरे कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्णा हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे। श्री प्रभुपाद की जय हो। ललिता माता जी, प्लीज स्टार्ट द कीर्तन सेवा।
Okay, mother. Namo Vishnupadaya Krishnaprishtaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swami Iti Namine Namaste Saraswati Deve गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेष शून्यवादी पाश्चात्य देशतारिणे। जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंदा श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौर भक्तवृंद। हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे, हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे, हरे कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे। हरि नाम संकीर्तन की जय। श्रील हरिदास ठाकुर की जय। श्रील प्रभुपाद की जय। जय राधा माधवा जय कुंज बिहारी, जय गोपी जन वल्लभा जय गिरिवरधारी, जय गिरिवरधारी, जय यशोदानंदना, जय व्रज जनरंजना, जय यशोदानंदना, जय व्रज जनरंजना, जय यमुनतीरवनचारी, जय कुंज बिहारी, जय राधा माधवा जय कुंज बिहारी, जय यमुनतीरवनचारी, जय कुंज बिहारी, जय राधा माधवा जय कुंज बिहारी। श्री राधा माधव की जय। श्री प्रभुपाद की जय। अनंत कोटि वैष्णव की जय। This is a song composed by a saint in South India by the name Srila Narayana Tirtha. He was a great bhakta of Sri Krishna, uh, glorifying the pastimes of Krishna and also Krishna. गोवर्धन गिरिधार गोविंद गोकुलपालक परमानंद गोवर्धन गिरिधार गोविंद गोकुलपालक परमानंद गोवर्धन गिरिधार गोविंद श्रीवत्साङ्कित श्रीकौस्तुभधर श्रीवत्साङ्कित श्रीकौस्तुभधर पावकभयहर पाहि मुकुन्द पावकभयहर पाहि मुकुन्द गोवर्धन गिरिधर गोविंद गोकुलपालक परमानंद गोवर्धन गिरिधर पुरुहूतमकविकात सुचतुर पुरुषोत्तम पुरुय जगतुदर मेरु मेरु बुरी धैर्य अघविदूर मेरु बुरी धैर्य अघविदूर मीनकेतु शतकोटि शरीर मीनकेतु शतकोटि शरीर गोवर्धन गिरिधर गोविंद गोकुलपालक परमानंद गोवर्धन गिरिधर अमित कल्याण गुण अगणित लीला अपरिमितानंद घननंद बाला समित दैत्य दंभ शांत्यदिमूल विमल मानस वृत्ति विलसित शाल गोवर्धन गिरिधर गोविंद गोकुलपालक परमानंद गोवर्धन गिरिधर गोविंद वहतो जगदण्ड कोटिस्तवेदम् वरद किमद्भुतम् अचलेन्द्रवहनम् महनीय कीर्तिम् अवहसि देहि मोदम् महनीय कीर्तिम् अवहसि देहि मुदम् माघवनं मद पनयसि गानं माघवनं मद पनयसि गानं गोवर्धन गिरिधर गोविंद गोकुलपालक परमानंद गोवर्धन गिरिधर आनंदामृत वारिधि केल अलकु पराक्रम अनुपम लीला आनंदामृतवारी केल अलकु पराक्रम अनुपम लीला श्रीनंदात्मज श्रितजनपाल श्रीनंदात्मज श्रितजनपाल श्रीकरकिशलय लालन लोल श्रीकरकिशलय लालन लोल गोवर्धन गिरिधर गोविंद गोकुल पालक परमानंद गोवर्धन गिरिधर पाटित सुररिपु पादप वृंद पावन चरित परमृत कंद पाटित सुररिपु पादप वृंद पावन चरित परमृत कंद नाट्य रसोत्कट नाना भरण नाट्य रसोत्कट नाना भरण नारायण तीर्थाचित चरण नारायण तीर्थ अचित चरण गोवर्धन गिरिधर गोविंद गोकुल पालक परमानंद गोवर्धन गिरिधर गोविंद Translation. O Govinda, who lifted Govardhana mountain, O divine joy, who took care of Gokula, O God, who has Srivatsa on him and wears the Kaustuba, please destroy fears of good people and protect me, Mukunda. Invoked by many, very handsome, very clever, greatest among males, he who improves all world, he who killed the expert Agasuras, big as Meru, entire Meru, and had a body as pretty as 100 crore Manmatas. The boy with excess good qualities, with innumerable sports, with limitless joy, sang with joy, who puts an end to pride of Asuras, who is root of qualities like peace, has pure mind, and who is the well-known dancer. One who was punished a lot for stealing from vessels, who likes Vedas, who gave boons, where is wonder in his case when he lifted king of mountains, who won great deeds, please grant me joy, who sang music due to enthusiasm in great forests. He who is ocean of nectar like joy, who played with his hair as a sport, did comparison less valor, who was son of Nanda, looked after those who depended on him, who was interested in place by making passion sprout. He who fell the enemy of Devas using a cluster of trees. He who has a nectar-like story, who is holy all over the world. He who is interested in dancing and wears various ornaments. He whose feet has been sung about by Sri Narayana Tirtha. Thank you, Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Mataji. Thank you very much. Very, very wonderful Kirtan. Now with this, I welcome all the devotees to today's session. We start with the invocation prayers. Namo Vishnupadaya Krishnam Prishtaya Bhutale Srimati Bhaktivedanta Swamini Tinamini नमस्ते सारस्वते देवे गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेष शून्यवादी पाश्चात्य देशतारिणे जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौर भक्त वृंद हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे ओम अज्ञानतिमिरन्धस्य ज्ञानाञ्जनशलाकया चक्षुरुन्मिलितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः श्रीचैतन्यमनोभीष्टं स्थापितं येन भूतले स्वयं रूप कदा मह्यं ददाति स्वपदान्तिकं वन्देऽहं श्रीगुरु श्रीयुतपदकमलं श्रीगुरुन् वैष्णवाञ्च श्रीरूपं साग्रजातं सहगण रघुनाथान्वितं तं सजीवं साद्वैतं सावधूतं परिजनसहितं कृष्ण चैतन्य देवं श्री राधा कृष्ण पादान् सहगण ललिता श्री विशाखान्वितं च हे कृष्ण करुणा सिंधु दीनबंधु जगतपते गोपेश गोपिका कांत राधा कांत नमस्तुते तप्त कंचन गौरंगी राधे वृंदावनेश्वरी वृषभानुसुते देवी प्रणमामि हरिप्रिये वंशा कल्पतरुभ्य च कृपा सिंधुभ्य एव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः. Now we will offer our obeisances to Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and the six Goswamis of Vrindavan. Namo Mahabadanyaya Krishna Prema Pradayate Krishnaya Krishna Chaitanya Namne Gauroti Svenama. O most beneficent incarnation, you are Krishna himself appearing as Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. You have assumed the golden color of Srimati Radharani and you are widely distributing pure love of Krishna. We offer our respectful obeisances unto you. Krishna Varnam Tisa Krishnam Sangopanga Parsadam Yagya Sankirtana Prayer Yajanti Sumedasa. In the age of Kali, intelligent persons perform congregational chanting to worship the incarnation of Godhead, who constantly sings the names of Krishna. Although his complexion is not blackish, he is Krishna himself. He is accompanied by his associates, servants, weapons, and confidential companions. Nana Shastra Vicharana Nikunam Sadharma Sanstapako Lokanam Hitakarinam Tribhuvane Manya Saranya Karao Radha Krishna Padaravinda Vajana Nanandena Mattaliko Bande Rupa Sanatana Raghujugo Sri Jiva Gopalako. I offer my respectful obeisances unto the six Goswamis of Vrindavana, namely Sri Rupa Goswami, Sri Sanatana Goswami, Sri Raghunatha Bhatta Goswami, Sri Raghunatha Dasa Goswami, Sri Jiva Goswami, and Sri Gopala Bhatta Goswami, who are very expert in scrutinizingly studying all the revealed scriptures with the aim of establishing eternal religious principles for the benefit of all human beings. Thus, they are honored all over the three worlds and are worth taking shelter of because they are absorbed in the mood of the gopis and are engaged in the transcendental loving of the divine couple Sri Radha and Krishna. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya Narayanam Namaskritya Naram Chaiva Narottamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jayamudire Nashta Prayeshu Abhadreshu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavati Uttama Sloke Bhaktir Bhavati Naishriki Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Ram Ram Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Ram Ram Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Ram Ram Hare Hare. Once again, I invite all the devotees to the today's session. Before we start the lesson, that is lesson 56, let us have the recap by Raksha Mataji.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji, Dandavat Pranam to all devotees. Dandavat Pranam Pyaru Prabhuji.
You don't have to cover everything. Please cover the
Yes,
important
Prabhuji. I
points.
have prepared a question. Some questions I have prepared. I
Yes.
will finish within 15 to 20 minutes, Prabhuji.
Yes.
Hare Krishna. Dandavat Pranam to all devotees. वाञ्छाकल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपा सिन्धुभ्येव च पतितनं पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः। श्री प्रभुपाद की जय हो। श्रीमद् भागवतम की जय हो। तो लास्ट लेक्चर में हमें लेसन 55 कृष्णा स्टील द गारमेंट्स ऑफ यंग अनमेरिड गोपीज वो कवर किया था। उसमें 5 थीम्स थी। अनमेरिड गोपीज वो टू प्लीज गॉडेस कात्यायनी मदर पार्वती टू हैव श्री कृष्णा एज देयर हस्बैंड। Then second theme, Krishna stole their garments when the gopis bathed naked in the Kalindi waters during the winter month of Margashis, very early in the morning. Although the gopis had been thoroughly cheated, ridiculed, and deprived of their modesty, they did not feel inimical at all towards Sri Krishna. And then, pleased with the gopis' determination to stay fixed in their vows, Krishna granted their desire. And last theme, Krishna glorified the virtues of trees to the cowherd boys. So we are start the recap seva. जो गोपियों ने पूरे मंथ एक ये कात्यायनी व्रत किया था, तो वो क्या खा के वो करते थे? पूरा मंथ उन्होंने क्या उबला हुआ क्या खाया?
हरे कृष्ण माता जी।
Yes,
अनस्पाइस्ड खिचड़ी
हाँ,
made of मूंग दाल and rice.
हाँ, without any salt, without
Salt
any
anything, without
spices.
it. Yeah.
Yes, yes, very nice. और ये जो गोपियां थी यहाँ पे जो ये लीला में, तो वो कौन सी सेट की गोपी थी? एक पर्टिकुलर सेट ऑफ गोपी थी ये।
Mother, it's a Nit Siddha Gopi.
यस, नित्य सिद्धा गोपी। और वो ये व्रत क्यों करना चाहते थे? ये क्यों कर रहे थे ये व्रत? उनका रीजन क्या था?
कृष्णा को अपने पति
हाँ, कृष्णा को वो पति के स्वरूप में पाना चाहते थे। वेरी नाइस। सो वो लोग जब भी यमुना रिवर पे जाते थे, तो वो कैसे भगवान कात्यायनी माता की सेवा कैसे करते थे?
वो
वो
यमुना
मिट्टी का
नदी के तट पे सॉरी माता जी गोई है
गो माता जी प्लीज।
यमुना नदी के तट पे वो वहां के धरती से एक शिला बनाते थे दुर्गा माँ की, और उनकी पूजा करते थे विद मतलब वो चंदन और
एरोमेटिक सब्सटेंस।
लैम्प, हाँ, फ्रूट्स वगैरह रख के, जैसे हम आरती करते हैं, भोग लगाते हैं,
हाँ,
वैसे।
यस यस, वेरी नाइस। फ्रेग्रेंट गार्लैंड्स एंड इंसेंस एवरीथिंग। सो जैसे हम पूजा करते हैं, वो ऐसे अच्छे से माता की मूर्ति बनाते थे और पूजा करते थे, और कंटिन्यूस मन में सोचते थे कि हमें भगवान हमारे पति के स्वरूप में मिले। ये नित्य सिद्धा गोपीज है। और हाँ, हाँ, विच मंत्र और गोपीज आर चैंटेड ड्यूरिंग परफॉर्मिंग दैट पूजा? वो कौन सा मंत्र बोलते थे? एक पर्टिकुलर मंत्र है स्लाइड नंबर 4 में।
नंद गोप सुतम देवी पति में कुरुते नमः।
कुरुते नमः। हाँ,
Please
वेरी
make the
नाइस।
son of Nanda my husband. I offer my obeisances unto you. That's the
यस
translation.
यस, हाँ माता जी। और यहाँ पे उन्होंने महामाया बोला है, महामाया। तो यहाँ पे जो महामाया बताया गया है, वो भगवान की कौन सी पोटेंसी है? एक्सटर्नल पोटेंसी है कि इंटरनल पोटेंसी है? यहाँ पे
योग माया
कौन सी
जी है।
पोटेंसी को डिस्क्राइब किया गया है?
Internal.
हाँ, इंटरनल पोटेंसी, जो सच्चिदानंद
Internal
स्वरूप
potency,
ही है।
correct. Internal potency,
यस 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 प्रभु जी।
not external potency. Yeah.
तो अभी स्लाइड 8 से हम भगवान और गोपियों के बीच का कॉन्वर्सेशन शुरू होगा। तो एक दिन ऐसा हुआ कि सारी गोपियां कीर्तन करते करते अच्छे से मूड में आके भगवान को याद करते करते कालिंदी के घाट पे आए, और उन्होंने अपने सारे वस्त्र एक जगह पे रख दिए और सारी स्नान करने के लिए, क्योंकि जब भी हम कुछ भी व्रत लेते हैं तो नदी में स्नान बहुत ही जरूरी है। तो वो स्नान सभी स्नान करने के लिए गए। तो जैसे वो स्नान करने के लिए गए तो फिर वहां पे कृष्णा आए। तो वो कृष्णा वहां पे क्यों आए? जब भी वो सब स्नान कर रहे थे तो कृष्णा वहां पे क्यों आए? क्यों आए कृष्णा
Hare
वहां
Krishna
पे?
Mother. Yeah, because they were performing Katyanya Vrata to accept Krishna as their husband, so to give a benediction. So Krishna appeared.
यस,
He
यहाँ पे
knew he
बहुत
was
अच्छा
sitting in
लिखा
their
है।
heart. Yeah. Mm.
यस 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 यस, वो अबाउट द गोपी द परफेक्शन ऑफ देयर इंडिवर, वो जो कर रहे थे व्रत, उनको वो बेनिडिक्शन देने के लिए आ रहे थे। तो फिर उन्होंने वहां पे क्या किया कृष्ण भगवान ने?
उन्होंने उनके कपड़े चुरा लिए और कदम
हाँ
ट्री था उनके ऊपर बैठ गए वहां कपड़े लेकर।
हाँ बराबर।
और
और फिर
फिर जब
उन्होंने कपड़े लेके ऊपर चढ़ गए, और उनके साथ कितने सखा थे उनके साथ?
2-3
उनके साथ चार सखा थे, चार सखा। उनके नाम बता सकते हैं?
दामा, सुदामा, किंकिनी,
दामस, हाँ
सुदामा,
हाँ,
किंकिनी और एक
वसुदामा।
व- वसुदामा, correct.
वसुदामा, हाँ। ये जो कंपनी उनके साथ थे, तो दोज कंपेनियंस आर द फॉर्म ऑफ इंटेलिजेंस, ईगो, सबकॉन्शियस एंड द माइंड। ये चार स्वरूप में ये चार छोटे बच्चे थे जो बहुत ही छोटे थे, और उनको जरा भी मालूम नहीं था कि मेल फीमेल के बारे में उनको मालूम नहीं था, ऐसा है ना। तो अभी भगवान ने घाट पे चढ़ के फिर गोपियों से क्या कहा? गोपियों से क्या कहा भगवान ने कि ओ डियर गर्ल्स, आप यहाँ पे आप आइए और आपके कपड़े वन बाय वन ले जाइए, राइट? लॉर्ड, you may each come here as you wish and take back your garments. I am telling you the truth and I am not joking with you, since I see your fatigue from executing austere vows. भगवान ने देखा अब अभी वो बहुत ही थके हुए हैं, तो उन्होंने बोला कि आप जल्दी आइए और आपके कपड़े ले जाइए। तो फिर गोपियों ने क्या कहा? गोपियों क्यों नहीं गए कपड़े लेने के लिए?
वो शर्म के मारे नहीं गई क्योंकि
हाँ बराबर है, क्योंकि वो बिना वस्त्रों के थे, और वो
हाँ
अपने आप को मतलब वो बहुत ही लज्जा आ गई उनको कि अब हम ऐसे हालत में हम भगवान के पास कैसे जा सके, राइट?
यस
हाँ हाँ। तो फिर गोपियों ने क्या कहा कि अगर आप कपड़े नहीं देंगे तो हम क्या करेंगे? गोपियों ने क्या बोला कि हम किसके पास जाएंगे और क्या किसके पास जाके कंप्लेन करेंगे?
नंद के पास जाके, क्योंकि नंद जो है वो राजा है और वो फिर उनको ही हम बताएंगे जाके कि
हाँ
ऐसे से।
यस, वो नंद राजा के पास भी जा सकते और कंस राजा के भी पास जा सकते थे कि भाई हम ये कंप्लेन करेंगे, अगर आप ये आपका जो बिहेवियर है बहुत ही गलत है, और हम आ, जाएंगे यहाँ पे कंप्लेन करने के लिए। मगर गोपियाँ जब ये कंप्लेन ऐसे बोलती भी है, मगर फिर भी वो एक तरह से उनको एक माइंड में एक सेटिस्फेक्शन भी मिल रहा है, क्योंकि ऐसे कृष्णा का वो एसोसिएशन चाहते भी थे। तो वो अभी उनको एक सडनली उनको वो एसोसिएशन भी मिल रहा है, तो वो भगवान के प्रति उनका प्रेम और बढ़ रहा भी है। कंप्लेन भी कर रही है, मगर साइड बाय साइड उनका प्रेम भी बहुत बढ़ रहा है उनके प्रति, क्योंकि वास्तव में उनका वो इंटेंशन ही वो था कि वो अपने ये व्रत ही वो कर रही थी कि हम भगवान को हस्बैंड के स्वरूप में पा सके, बराबर ना? तो फिर भगवान ने यहाँ पे एक बहुत ही इम्पोर्टेंट बात बताई थी कि आपसे एक अपराध हुआ है, तो वो क्या अपराध था गोपियों का?
वो विदाउट गारमेंट कपड़े जो है उसमें स्नान करने का, डेमिगॉड्स नाराज होते हैं इससे।
हाँ, वेरी नाइस मैथड। क्योंकि जब भी कोई व्रत परफॉर्म करता है और जब भी नदी में स्नान करते हैं तो वो अगर वो बिना वस्त्रों के करते हैं तो एक अपराध हो जाता है। तो फिर भगवान ने क्या कहा कि आप ये आपका अपराध हो गया है, तो फिर आपको अगर अपराध से बचना है तो फिर अगर ये आप उससे माफी नहीं मांगेंगे तो ये आपका जो व्रत है वो टूट जाएगा। तो फिर इसके लिए भगवान ने क्या रेमेडी दी कि हाँ आप क्या करेंगे तो आपका ये व्रत नहीं टूटेगा?
उन्होंने कहा कि मेरी शरण में आओ। गर्ग, जैसा कि गर्ग मुनि ने कहा था कि मैं इक्वल टू नारायण
हाँ,
हूँ, तो मैं नारायण हूँ, तो उसमें मुझे मेरे पास आओ तो आपका अपराध
ये
खत्म हो जाएगा।
हाँ, और मुझे नमस्कार करो। तो भगवान
नमस्कार
ने
करो।
यहाँ पे कैसे कहा कि कैसे नमस्कार करना है उनको?
हाँ, हाथ ऊपर करके, दोनों
हाँ,
हाथ ऊपर करके
दोनों
सर
हाथ फोल्ड करके सर
करके
पे रख
ऊपर
के
सर
उनको
पे रख के
नमस्कार करना है। तो उससे उनका पूरा अपराध जो है वो दूर हो जाएगा। और फिर भी गोपियां बोल रहे थे कि मैं हम आपके मेड सर्वेंट भी है, और एक बाजू कंप्लेन भी कर रही थी और एक बाजू मेड सर्वेंट भी है हम। मगर वो साइमल्टेनियसली वो एसोसिएशन चाहती भी थी इनका ऐसे क्यों। और गोपियां बहुत ही आनंदित भी, मन से बहुत ही आनंदित थी, मगर वो आ, ऐसा बाहर भी आना नहीं चाहती थी। मगर फिर भी वो आए क्योंकि भगवान को वो कंप्लीट सरेंडर कर दिए। मगर वो उनको इतना भी ये सब हुआ, भगवान ने उनकी बहुत ही कठोर परीक्षा ली, फिर भी भगवान के प्रति उनका इनिमिकल भाव नहीं हुआ। क्यों ऐसा हुआ कि उनके प्रति, भगवान के प्रति उनका इनिमिकल भाव नहीं हुआ?
क्योंकि वो खुद चाहती थी ना भगवान से के साथ एसोसिएशन,
हाँ, यस।
तो इसलिए वो नहीं हुआ।
क्योंकि वो सिंपली जॉयफुल, बहुत ही खुश थे और वो ऐसा एसोसिएशन भगवान से चाहते थे। और फिर भगवान ने उनको जैसे वो बाहर आए और भगवान ने उनको नमस्कार किया और भगवान ने सारे कपड़े उनको दे दिए। फिर भी कपड़े पहन के भी वो वहां पे ही खड़े हो गए और वो हिल भी नहीं पाते। क्यों ऐसा हुआ? वो भगवान ने बोला कि अभी आप जाइए, अभी आप अपने घर पे जाइए, फिर भी वो जा नहीं पा रहे थे। उसकी वजह क्या थी?
क्योंकि वो भगवान को वो देखना चाहते थे, उनका
हम्म।
स्वरूप अंदर से उनको पूरा मन भर के उनका स्वरूप देखना चाहती थी और खुशी व्यक्त करनी थी। तो उनकी आंख
ये
नजर हट नहीं रही थी उनके ऊपर से।
वो एकदम स्तब्ध हो गए थे क्योंकि अभी वो पहन के भी, वो कपड़े भी पहन लिए, फिर भी वो हिल नहीं पा रहे थे क्योंकि वो इतने वो, क्योंकि आज उनको इतना एक अद्भुत मौका मिला था भगवान के साथ एसोसिएट करने के लिए, जो उनकी इतनी इच्छा भी थी। तो ये इच्छा उनकी आज पूरी भी हुई, है ना? फिर भगवान बलराम जी और सब गोप सखा के साथ दूसरे जंगल में, अंदर अंदर फॉरेस्ट में गए और गाय चराने के लिए वहां पे गए। फिर यमुना नदी में पानी पिया सबने, बहुत ही ठंडा अच्छा मीठा पानी था, वो सबने पिया। और फिर भगवान ने क्या समझाया अच्छे से कि ये जो वृक्ष है, लताएं है, ट्रीज है, वो हमें कैसे हमारी सेवा करती है, ह्यूमन ह्यूमन बीइंग की सेवा कैसे करती है। वो भगवान ने कैसे समझाया सारे गोप बच्चों को?
ट्रीज जो है वो उसमें कड़ी धूप में और वर्षा में भी ये जो है रहते हैं, और हमें ये सब फ्रूट फ्लावर्स ये सब चीजें देते हैं। एक तरह से वो
हम्म।
वो सीख दे रहे हैं कि दूसरों के लिए कुछ सहन करते हुए भी आप उसको दूसरों के लिए कुछ भला करिए।
यस।
इनडायरेक्टली वो हमें एक वो दे रहे हैं टीचिंग।
हाँ। फ्रूट्स ट्रीज हमें क्या क्या देता है, इन व्हाट मैनर दे फुलफिल अवर डिजायर्स। बहुत सारी चीजें देता है, क्या क्या चीजें देता है हमें ट्रीज?
सब कुछ देता है, छांव, लकड़ी, फल,
हाँ।
खाने की, अपने सब कुछ अपने मन में, और छांव, धूप,
औषधियाँ।
कौन से भी से पोसते हैं, और अपने को हर चीज में दवाइयाँ, सब कुछ मिलता है, इसलिए वो देते हैं।
हम्म, सही बात है। तो अभी ये भगवान बहुत ही अच्छे से ट्रीज के वर्च्यूज के बारे में बताया, और फिर अभी नेक्स्ट लीला के बारे में आगे जाएंगे। और क्योंकि अभी पूरा ये सेट, क्योंकि ये अभी बच्चे लोगों को बहुत ही भूख लगी थी, तो वो क्योंकि गर्मी भी बहुत थी और अभी उनको भूख पण लगी थी, तो फिर अभी आगे का जो लेक्चर लेसन आएगा 56 में, उसमें पूरा उसका वर्णन है। तो यहाँ पे हम ये रिकेप सेवा समाप्त करते हैं। ओवर टू शरद प्रभु जी, अगर कोई मिस्टेक हो गई हो तो प्लीज प्लीज क्षमा करिएगा। हरे कृष्णा।
Thank you,
थैंक यू।
Mataji. Thank you very much. So now I once again welcome all the devotees to the today's session. We'll be studying lesson 56, that is chapter 23 in the 10th canto of Srimad Bhagavatam, the Brahmana's wives blessed by Lord Krishna. Now this is how this is connected with the previous lesson, that is lesson 22. That also I will describe. Then we'll go through the slides. Now this chapter shows how Krishna, after inducing the coward boys to beg food, showed mercy to the wives of the Brahmanas who were performing a sacrifice, and ultimately made the Brahmanas themselves feel remorse. Now, in the previous story, we had seen that the coward boys, along with Lord Krishna, they wandered off to a very far distance to a grove of Asoka trees. And the Asoka trees, they do not bear fruits which can be eaten by human beings. Now, what happened? The coward boys, they felt very much hungry. They were very, very hungry. And with this desire, they will now approach Krishna and Balrama, and we'll see what happens. Now, this Leela, that is the blessing the Brahmana's wives, this happened in Braja, and this place is actually north of Akrura Ghata on river Yamuna. And this this place is known as Batrol Bihari Mandir. There is a temple even today on top of a hill which is known as Bhojana Tila, or Yajna Sthala, or Bhojana Sthala. So this is there. If you ever go to Vrindavan, please find time to see. Now there are four themes in this. The first one is Sri Krishna sends his hungry coward friends to beg food from the ritualistic Brahmanas in a nearby village where they were performing a yajna. But being puffed up, they spurned the boys. Now they went, they explained to them that we are hungry and we have been sent by Balrama and Krishna. Balrama's name first, we will see why they said that. But the Brahmanas, they did not answer them. They never said yes or no. And that's why they came back again to Krishna. Now then Krishna tells them to go again and beg food from the Brahmana's wife. Then the theme 2 is the Brahmana's wives were rushed with food to Krishna, who warmly welcomed them. Now, hearing this, the Brahmana's wife, they took all the food and went to Krishna and Balrama and fed all the coward boys and Krishna and Balrama. And then at the end, what happened in theme 3, the wives wanted to stay, but Sri Krishna nonetheless advised them to return home and serve their husbands. Now these Brahmanis, that is the wives of the Brahmanas, they had gone there against the wishes of their husbands. They thought if we come back to the village, our husbands will not accept us. That's why they said, we will not leave this place, we will stay with you. But Krishna advised them to go back and serve their husbands. And the fourth, with remorse, the Brahmanas condemned themselves, but dared not to seek pardon of the Lord in person out of fear of King Kamsa. Now they were very much fearful. Now please know that devotees are actually fearless. A devotee never fears anybody except the Supreme Lord. Now, as given in the sixth canto of sixth canto, seventh chapter of Srimad Bhagavatam, Lord Shiva is telling Mother Parvati that devotees solely engaged in the devotional service of the Supreme Lord Narayana never fear any condition of life. Now, here the thing is that if they are worshipping or engaged in the devotional service of the Supreme Lord, then there is no fear. But these Brahmanas, they had fear from Kamsa. That means they were not performing devotional service. That will come at the end and we'll see. But here only I want to just mention certain things which are given in the Shastras about the Brahmanas, how they are the best people. Now in the fifth canto, it is given that Brahmanas are the best of all. Brahmanas are best amongst all human beings. And the Lord gets satisfied by feeding a Brahmana and not by offering food in sacrificial fire. And in the fifth canto, 10th chapter, it is given, the Rahugana is telling, I am not afraid of Shiva, Indra or Yamaraj, but afraid of offending a Brahmana. Brahmana is so important. In the 8th chapter, 10th canto, there is the verse, basically it says, Janmana Brahmana Guru. Brahmana is the Guru, the spiritual master of everybody. And in the 86th chapter of 10th canto, it is given Brahmana Janmana Srayan. Brahmana is the highest, is the highest amongst all human beings. And also in that chapter, it is given a Brahmana is not different from the Supreme Lord himself. And in the 81st chapter, also given, the Lord accepts Brahmanas as his masters. The Supreme Lord, he accepts them as his own master. And what to talk of others? And the famous verse in Vishnu Purana, you also know, Namo Brahmana Devaya Go Brahmana Hitaya Cha Jagaditaya Krishnaya Govindaya Namo Namo. And in Vishnu Purana, the Lord is saying the Brahmanas are better than me. Like this, there are so many descriptions. But here, we'll see what is the difference between these type of Brahmanas which we discussed and those Brahmanas who were doing the yajna to achieve the Swargaloka. Okay, let us go to the next slide. Now the coward boys said, "Oh Rama, Rama, Rama means Balrama, mighty armed one. Oh Krishna, chastiser of the wicked, we are being harassed by hunger and you should do something about it." Now Sukadeva Goswami is saying, thus entreated by the coward boys, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, the son of Devaki, replied as follows, desiring to please certain of his devotees who were Brahmana's wives. The other two verses, 1 and 2. Now let us see what our acharyas, they comment on these verses. Sanatana Goswami and Jiva Goswami, they are saying, being hungry, taking support of their friendly mood. They were in Sakhya Bhava with Krishna and Balrama. They said, not giving heed to the fact that trees yielded all necessities and that humans should also give all things which we learned in the last lesson. The boys begged Krishna for food when he brought them to another forest. as we learned this connection with the last lesson, they had wandered off with the forest which was very far off. They addressed Balrama saying, "Oh Rama, you should give us enjoyment." They repeat his name out of hunger. "Oh Balrama, with strong arms, you are capable of anything." Another version has Mahabirya, that is with the same meaning. That is, he is very, very powerful with strong arms. You can fulfill our desire. We are very, very hungry. Please provide some food to us. Then also to Krishna, they are saying, "Oh Krishna, the form of the highest bliss. It is not proper that your followers should suffer." Being more specific, they say, "Oh chastiser of the wicked." And the Shruti says, please, hunger is the enemy of mankind. When somebody is afflicted by hunger, his mind, his senses, they cannot work. He is totally gone. He has to fill his belly first. He has to satisfy his hunger first. Then he can do anything. And if somebody is afflicted by hunger, he is of no use only. They call Balrama first and repeatedly, since Krishna is pleased when Balrama is respected. Please remember, this is very, very important. When we are also worshipping Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and Nityananda Prabhu, Nityananda Prabhu comes first, because if you please Nityananda Prabhu, then Krishna is always and every time he is satisfied. That's why they were trying to
may I interrupt here, please? Explain to us, all of us, that these Brahmana, I'm sorry, these boys, covered boys, are really very, very advanced souls, you know. So they ought to be completely free from hunger and thirst and everything. So why this thing happened? The Acharya has explained that, but maybe you can explain to rest of the people, you know.
Yeah, that will come up. Yes, Prabhuji.
Okay.
Krishna, endowed with all powers, then spoke to give mercy to the wives of the Brahmanas. For a long time, they had rati for the Lord, and the boy first asked the husbands to show the glory of their wives. How did their devotion arise? He was the Lord of the universe. He who shows sweetness and power in the universe. How could devotion not arise in those women who had very soft hearts? Now it will come later that these Brahmanis, that is the Brahmana's wives, they could satisfy Krishna because they had a rati, that is, they had a loving attitude toward Krishna and not their husbands. Why? That will come up later. Because these wives of the Brahmanas, they used to ask the various people who used to go to Mathura, to Vrindavan, to sell various things like flour or fruits or milk products, all these things. They used to ask them about Krishna, and they used to hear, that is Sravanam. After hearing everything about Krishna, they were inclined toward Krishna and they started loving Krishna. That's why this rati was there toward Krishna. Now, Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur, what he is saying in a phrase, Viprabharyaya, the Brahmana's wives, the word for wife is Bharya. Is in the singular form, signifying a class. It is not that of a particular Brahmana, but a particular class of Brahmana's wives. Krishna spoke to give mercy and prasidan to the wives of the Brahmanas. Some say that singular form is used to indicate one particular wife who attained the 10th stage of prema. Out of compassion, Krishna wanted to show her mercy. And prasidan has two meanings, giving mercy and lamenting also. Okay, let us go to the next slide. Now Krishna says in verses 3 and 4, please go to the sacrificial arena where a group of Brahmanas learned in the Vedic injunctions are now performing the Agni Rasa sacrifice to gain promotion to heaven. When you go there, my dear coward boys, simply request some food. Declare to them the name of my elder brother, that is Balrama's name first, the Supreme Lord Balrama, and also my name. That means he wanted Balrama's name to come first, then Krishna's name, and explain that you have been sent by us, that is by Balrama and Krishna, because we are hungry, we want food. Now, what the Acharyas are commenting on these two verses, Sridhar Swami is saying, being dispersed by both of us, you should beg. What is so embarrassing about this? Should they reply, why should they give to us since we are not worthy recipients? This may be a question. Now Sridhar Swami and Sanatana Goswami and Jiva Goswami, what they are saying, Krishna and Balrama, they are saying, telling the coward boys, go to the sacrificial arena. They are chanting the Vedas, but do not know the meaning of the Vedas, though they are chanting the verses, that is the text of the Vedas, they do not know the Vedas. Because what is the ultimate aim of the Vedas? The ultimate aim of the Vedas to get to Sri Krishna. And Sri Krishna is himself sending his own friends to beg something. They should give. That is what is the meaning. Or they do not know how to chant the Vedas, nor do they know the meaning. Thus, they are performing a sacrifice for elevation to Swarga. They want to go to Swargaloka. And as we know, anybody who wants to go to Swargaloka, that is not a good choice, because after some time, after he finishes all his punya, he has to come back, because that is temporary in nature. Then what? He puts himself in a lower position and glorifies Balrama. As devotees, we should not beg food. You are sent by two of us, thus you have no fault. But the followers are at fault. By doing kirtana of our names, the fault will be destroyed. Why? Because the Lord is full of powers. He taught a method of begging while chanting the Lord's name. Chant the names of Krishna and Balrama and ask them food. Now, what Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur is saying, Krishna sent the boys to the Brahmanas to teach them that he does not bestow mercy upon those devoid of bhakti. Ultimately, we will see they are devoid of bhakti, and at the end, we will see how they realize that thing and they ask for forgiveness. Even though they are endowed with austerity, knowledge, religious principles. On the other hand, Krishna showed that he does give mercy to those having bhakti, like the Brahmana's wives. Even though they lack knowledge and austerity, they never went to any Gurukula, they never studied the Vedas, but still they had rati for Krishna, they had love for Krishna, loving devotional service for Krishna. That's why he was pleased. Krishna said, you should ask for rice, calling out our names. Though these Brahmanas are supposed to be intelligent, they must be awakened from their deep slumber of forgetfulness by calling out our names. You should call out Baladeva's name first, because those materialistic Brahmanas will think that Balrama, being a Kshatriya, is a worthy recipient of charity, whereas I, being a Vaishya, am certainly unworthy. Even if they give a little, it is acceptable. So this is the reason why Krishna told them to take Balrama's name first and his name later on. Now let us go on to the next slide. Thus instructed by the Supreme Personality of Godhead, that is Krishna, the coward boys went there and submitted their request. They said, we are very hungry, please give us food. And they stood before the Brahmanas with palms joined in supplication, and they fell flat on the ground to offer respect. As required by a Vaishya, they offered their prostrated obeisances to the Brahmanas. And they said, "O earthly gods, please hear us. We coward boys are executing the orders of Krishna, and we have been sent here by Balrama. We wish all good for you. Please acknowledge our arrival." Rama and Achyuta, Achyuta is Krishna, are tending their cows not far from here. They are hungry, bhubukshatu, and want to give them some of your food. Therefore, O Brahmanas, O best of the knowers of religion, if you have faith, please give some food to them, except during the interval between the initiation of the performance of a sacrifice and the actual sacrifice of the animal. O most pure Brahmanas, it is not contaminating for even the initiated to partake food, at least in sacrifices other than Srotamani. Now, what they are trying to say, because they also know what is given in the Shastras, they are telling them that since you are, even if you are doing this yajna and you have not yet completed, still then it is not prohibited to eat food, to give food to them, because one can say since they have not completed the yajna, they were right from their point of view in not giving any food to the boys, the coward boys. But the coward boys, they are reminding the Brahmanas what is the thing given in the Shastra. Now, Sridhar Swami is saying, while not being too far, both of them want your food. They are nearby and they want food because they are hungry. If you have some faith, then please give. They speak suspecting that the Brahmanas might say they are initiated and they have not yet eaten, because Brahmanas, they have to eat first, then the Vaishyas, the other varnas. There is a fault before prescribed killing of a sacrificial animal beginning from the initiation, not any other time. In this, the yajna, what happens? Either a sacrificial animal is sacrificed or food is sacrificed. Now, this applies to both the animal also and the food also, which is offered in the sacrificial fire. Now, there is a fault before prescribed killing of the sacrificial animal. That is, before the yajna is completed, the food should not be given. Now, Sanatana Goswami and Jiva Goswami, what they are commenting, they went and humbly begged precisely as instructed by the Lord, that is, as instructed by Krishna. As best devotees of the Lord, it is natural for them to show devotion to the Brahmanas. And because of their special devotion to Krishna, they mentioned him first, even though they were instructed to mention Balrama first. Remember in the beginning, noticing no respect shown to them by the Brahmanas, which made them think that they committed an offense, they asked forgiveness. Krishna and Balrama were hungry because of herding the cows. They didn't, why didn't they come personally? The cows cannot be protected without Krishna and Balrama, without the two boys. Where are they now? Not too far off from here, that is very nearby. They desire your rice and not any other thing. But it is not possible to interrupt the Vedic sacrifice and go to them. Now, humbly responding to that possible question by the Brahmanas, why don't you please give the rice to us if you have faith? The Vedic injunction is anyone who is hungry is a fit candidate for receiving food in charity. You are the best knowers of dharma, that is the Brahmanas. And this is a praise not made with conviction, since the Brahmanas did not know dharma, and though they were doing the sacrificial ceremony, sacrificial fire ceremony with all the Vedic mantras, but still they were not aware of dharma. The dharma is to gain, to reach the highest end, that is the Supreme Lord. And the Supreme Lord is asking. Now, this shows the boys learning, that is note in response to Sridhar Swami's comments on the possible objection of the Brahmanas. Srotamanya means outside the sacrifice known as Srotamani. Now, what about this yajna, Srotamani yajna? This is done for achieving the Swargaloka. That is the where the demigods they live. Please know that there are two types of yajnas. One is the Srauta yajna, one is the Smarta yajna. Now, what is the difference? In Smarta yajna, the word Swaha is used, like Indraya Swaha, Brihaspataya Swaha, Agnaya Swaha, like this. And in Srauta yajna, Basatkara is used, like Brihaspati Bosat, Indra Bosat, like this. Now, here I just remember one thing which will actually come in the 78th chapter, Balrama killing Romaharsana Sutta. Now, because this Srota Yajna, the word came, I will just take 1 minute because this is very, very important. Balrama had killed Romaharsana Sutta because he did not offer respect to him and he was a Sutta. Now, please remember that Romaharsana Sutta, he was not born from parents, and he was born from the sacrificial fire like Draupadi and Drishtadyumna. But what about this, the Sutta? Sutta was a name only, it was not his Varna, and it was a Mantrakrit Biloma Sankarya. As you know, there are two Anuloma and Biloma Sankarya. I will not talk about them. Now, in Srota Yajna, what happens while the Kapal is the earthen triangle, is dipped in Purodas and it is put in the Agni Kunda. But in this case, what happened in the instead of in the area of Brahaspati, Purodas was put in the place of Indra. That's why it became Biloma Sankarya, even though the Romaharsana Sutta was born from the sacrificial fire only. We can talk about that in when we come to chapter 78. Let us go to the next slide. We will see the comments of Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur in detail. Now the cowherd boys approached with folded hands to show their humble attitude, because they were acting as representatives of Krishna and Balrama, and they were Vaishyas. They are showing respect as should be shown to Brahmanas. Though they fell on the ground, the cowherd boys appeared more effulgent than the Brahmanas who were standing up in the land of Vrindavana. The cowherd boys said, "We are executing the order of Krishna, who is more powerful than Balrama, because he is the son of King Nanda. Since we have been sent by Baladeva, we will give him the first rice that we receive." The cowherd boy said, "Please give us some rice." Now the Brahmanas replied, "Because Krishna and Balrama are not Brahmanas, we cannot give you until after the Brahmanas have eaten." Now the cowherd boys, they said, "But Krishna and Balrama are hungry. Of course, you know the Vedic injunction that anasya suditam patram, that means food should be given to those who are hungry." Seeing the Brahmanas unfavorably inclined and not saying anything, they did not say yes or no, they continued. They kept on saying, "Oh Brahmanas, if you have faith in Krishna and Balrama, then give. And if you do not, then say no to us and we'll go back." Seeing you remaining silent upon hearing our request to feed Krishna and Balrama, the sound of those names causes the entire universe to melt with love. We can understand your being twice born. Twice born means Dvija, merely means born from two parents. Dvi means two, Ja means born. When Brahmana did not respond to the coward boy's initial request, the boys addressed them with a touch of sarcasm. Of course, you know the highest principles of religion, Dharma Vittama. So, what can we tell you about Dharma and Adharma? And the phrase Dharma Vittama, the bestower of Dharma, can also be taken as Dharma Vitama, which means the ritualistic Brahmanas were totally ignorant of the religious principles, which actually is the case. The coward boys anticipated the possible objection from the Brahmanas, and they couldn't give the boys any food because they themselves had not eaten, and that the priest initiated to perform a sacrifice should not eat. Therefore, the boys humbly informed the Brahmanas about various technicalities of ritualistic sacrifice. The coward boys said, this rule applies from the beginning of the sacrifice until the animal is killed. But after that, there is no fault in taking food. This applies to all sacrifices other than Srotamani, in which none of the food can be eaten. It is understood from this verse that the animal was also was already killed. That means they could have given food to the boys, but these Brahmanas, they did not say yes or no. That means they didn't give any importance to them. They were just pleading with the Brahmanas, and the Brahmanas, they were busy with their own work. They didn't give them any importance. Let us go on to the next slide. The verses 9 to 11, the Brahmanas heard the supplication from the Supreme Personality of Godhead, yet they refused to pay heed. Indeed, they were full of petty desires and entangled in elaborate rituals. Though presuming themselves advanced in Vedic learning, they were actually inexperienced fools. Although the ingredients of sacrificial performance, the place, time, particular paraphernalia, mantras, rituals, priest, fires, demigods, performer, offering, and the as yet unseen beneficial results, all are simply aspects of his opulences, that is the opulences of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. The Brahmanas saw Lord Krishna as an ordinary human because of their perverted intelligence. They failed to recognize that he is the supreme absolute truth, and the directly manifest personality of Godhead, whom the material senses cannot ordinarily perceive. Thus, bewildered by the false identification with the mortal body, they did not show him proper respect. But on the other hand, you see, the wives of the Brahmana, they are not qualified. They never studied the Vedas. They never went to any Gurukula. They did not have any the ceremony that is the third ceremony like this. They are not the Dvijas, but still they had great love for the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and that is what is bhakti, and that is how the Supreme Lord is satisfied, and not by the Brahmanas who read the Vedas, who we are engaged in the elaborate rituals in performing the sacrificial fire. He is not at all interested, he is not at all satisfied with anybody with that. Now, Sridhar Swami is saying, Shudra asa means full of petty desires. They had all the normal materialistic desires. This signifies all their ambitions regard heaven and other insignificant things. Their activities are numerous, meaning their deeds are more trouble. That means they wanted to go to heaven only, which is a very, very petty thing. Therefore, they are ignorant and useless, and they had the false pride that they were mature in Vedic knowledge. They might think Why food for the sake of another be given by transgressing the sequence of the ritual? He speaks the verse in response. Items such as charu and oblation of rice, barley, and pulse cooked with ghee and milk, and purodasa, a mass of ground rice rounded into cake-like forms. Dharma means apurvam, unseen, unforeseen result. Manushya drashta means seeing him as an ordinary man. The Brahmanas, they took Krishna as an ordinary cowherd boy and not as supreme personality of Godhead. Even though the wives of the Brahmanas, they knew that Krishna is the supreme personality of Godhead. Now this signifies with the notion he is a man, Martya Atmanaha, falsely identifying themselves with the material body while thinking we Brahmanas are great and these coward boys, the Vaishyas, they are nothing in comparison. And Sridhar Swami and Sanatan Goswami and Jiva Goswami, they are saying, Sukha angrily rebukes these Brahmanas because of a disrespect to the Lord. Their objectives were insignificant and engage in ritualistic rites because they have little intelligence. Their intelligence was also not matured. And why don't they pursue the truth? They think themselves mature in knowledge. Now, Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur, what he is saying, though the Brahmanas were knowledgeable of scriptures, they, why didn't they respect Krishna and Balarama? This verse answers the question. Actually, the Brahmanas did not know scripture. Rather, they were ignorant in realizing and imparting scripture. Just reading the scripture does not mean that one has understood it. One has to internalize it, understand what is the meaning of this and what is the ultimate aim. Now, therefore, for 2.5 verses 9 to 11, Sukha ridicules them for being full of petty desires, such as aspiring for the heavenly planets. The Brahmanas thought themselves advanced in knowledge with the money, but actually they were only advanced in age. The word Vruddha means wisdom and old age. When should a person overlook the rules outlined in scriptures for suitability of place, time, and person and give his acquired goods to another person? This verse answers the question. Due to their material vision, the Brahmanas thought of Krishna, the supreme absolute truth, as an ordinary human being. Although Krishna cannot be perceived by the material senses, adokshajam, he can be realized by mercy. And if we show him devotional service, then his mercy will be bestowed on us. Since the Brahmanas were not devotees, there was no mercy of Krishna bestowed on the Brahmanas. That's why they were covered by Maya. That's why they could not understand him. They took him to be an ordinary coward boy. Now, time, place, and the sacrificial offerings such as cooked rice, rituals, mantras, priests, fire, demigods, sponsors, the sacrifice, the religious principles, all are simply aspects of Krishna's opulence. And this was not known to the Brahmanas. That's why they were thinking they were the greatest beings on this earth, and all including Krishna, Balrama, and the coward boys, they were nothing in front of them. That's why they did not answer them. Now let us see what happens then. Then when the Brahmanas failed to reply even with a simple yes or no, O chastiser of the enemy Parikshit, the coward boys returned disappointed to Krishna and Rama and reported this to them. This is verse 12. And Sanatana Goswami and Jiva Goswami saying, the Brahmanas did not respond. Rather, they just ignored the boys. They came across as disrespectful caused by their false identity, because of their false ego. The boys returned and explained what they had said and what the Brahmanas had done. In essence, ignorance of the boys. Now, Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur is saying, thinking, how can we give to the coward boys before we have eaten? The Brahmanas did not say yes. and they did not reject the proposal to give their remnants after the yajna by saying no. Parikshit becomes angry on hearing this. Sukha said, O subduer of enemies, Parantapa, if you had seen, you had been there, even though they were the best of Brahmanas, you would have punished them like enemies. Let us go to the next. Now the verses 13 and 14. Hearing what had happened, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, the Lord of the universe, simply laughed. Now the coward boys came and told Krishna and Balrama that they did not give food, and Krishna was not angry with this. He only laughed. Then he began address the coward boys, showing them the way men act in this world. Tell the wives of the Brahmanas that I have come here with Lord Sankarsana. They will certainly give you all the food you want, for they are most affectionate towards me, and indeed with their intelligence reside in me alone. Tell the wives of the Brahmanas that I have come here with Lord Sankarsana. They will certainly give you all the food. This is what Krishna and Balrama told the coward boys. Why? Krishna was very sure the wives of the Brahmanas would give food because they were his devotees. They were most affectionate to him, and indeed their intelligence resided in Krishna alone. That's why Krishna was telling the coward boys, go and ask them, they will give. Now Sridhar Swami comments, he spoke to show the universally accepted principle. Those who expect a result should not be dejected. That means even if you have been you have seen a failure, you should not be dejected, you should try again. Who is the beggar who hasn't been turned down? A beggar can be turned down only. Now they reside at home only with the body, with the mind, and they reside in me. And the Lord is saying, since these ladies are like me, they will give you. This is the reason they are giving. And Sanatana Goswami and Jiva Goswami, what they are commenting, they are saying Krishna alone spoke to show the universally accepted principle. Those who expect a result should not be dejected. Who is the beggar who hasn't been turned down? All the beggars, they are turned down from somebody or the other. Not that a beggar goes to everybody and everybody gives them. It does not happen. He said it laughing because the first reason is the great ignorance and pride of the Brahmana. Krishna realized that the Brahmanas who are performing the sacrifice, they have got lot of false pride and they are ignorant of dharma. And next reason, to relieve the void of sorrow. He did not consider this as an offense because he is omniscient. What is the fault if they are bewildered by Maya? Maya is his energy only. Or he was merciful. Even though the Brahmanas did not give food to his friends, still then Krishna was merciful to them. When begging from the men was unsuccessful, one could beg from the wives. And those with material desires dedicated to chanting the Vedas and performing sacrifice, and with pride and suffering, not with peace, those without those faults are far superior. He taught this to the world by his interaction with the wives. Or he wanted to show the material principle that love for the Lord was stronger in women than in men. That was the reason why he sent the boys first to the men. Those with material desires are dedicated to chanting the Vedas and performing sacrifices, and with pride and suffering, not with peace. And those without these faults are far superior. He taught this through the interaction to the wives. Now, Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur, what he is saying, Krishna laughed because it was not proper to show anger towards the ignorant Brahmanas. He wanted to show mercy to them. Furthermore, Krishna wanted to teach that a beggar should not become despondent because it is the nature of begging, lokikam gatim, that one is often refused. Krishna said, just tell the wives of the Brahmanas that Balrama and I have come, but don't tell them I am hungry. For if they hear that these devoted ladies they will become severely distressed because they are devotees of the Supreme Lord. The coward boy would say, but how will they give us food if we do not tell them you are hungry? Now Krishna says, seeing that you are hungry, they will give food for us, for all of us. And coward boys say, but their husbands will prevent them. Then Krishna says, the Brahmana's wives have great affection for me. They will not heed their husband's prohibitions, since their minds dwell in means maya usita diya. It is only their bodies that are residing in their husband's houses, but their minds are residing with me. Their intelligence is residing with me. They will understand when they see you hungry boys, they will give food for all of us. This is what Krishna tells and sends the boys. Now let us see what happens. Now the coward boys then went to the house where the Brahmana's wives were staying. That was only nearby to the place where the sacrificial, to the sacrificial arena. Now there the boys saw those chaste ladies sitting nicely decorated with fine ornaments, and bowing down to the Brahmana ladies, the boys addressed them in all humility like they addressed the Brahmanas. Obeisances unto you, O wives of the learned Brahmanas, kindly hear our words. We have been sent here by Lord Krishna, who is passing by not far from here. He has come a long way with the coward boys and Lord Balrama tending the cows. Now he is hungry, so some food should be given for him and his companions. Though Krishna had said, don't tell them that I am hungry, but still they told them. This is given in the verses 15 to 17. And Sridhar Swami, what he is, Sanatana Goswami, what he is commenting, they were sitting comfortably, happy with devotion to Krishna. They were thinking of Krishna, they were talking about Krishna, and at that time the coward boys they came, unlike their husbands. They were discussing about Krishna only because they were the devotees of Krishna. And the boys were polite by nature, prasritaha, and offered their respects partially to test their mood. We have been sent by Krishna, Ishita, who has attracted your here. He is passing nearby. And Jiva Goswami is saying, how might they give without their husband's consent? In consideration of me, the ladies will not have high regard for them. That means, in comparison to Krishna, they will not consider their husbands to be superior to Krishna. And since Krishna wants the food, they will give. Previously, they asked the Brahmanas for rice only, but now they ask for others as well, even without his order and with other items, because they had heard of the wife's great devotion to Krishna. They said that with humor. They had asked only rice from the Brahmanas, but they are asking rice and all other items which have been prepared for the sacrifice from the wives of the Brahmanas. Now Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur is saying, upon hearing the name of Krishna, the Brahmana's wives fainted in bliss. They were totally blissful. They were so happy to hear because they had been hearing the things from others. They wanted to have audience of Krishna in person. That's why when they came to know he is just nearby and he has sent these boys to us, they were very, very happy and they fainted in bliss. And to revive them, the boys explained why they had come to their houses, beginning in a gentle way and ending boldly. The boys said, Krishna and Balrama had come a long way, Duram, and seeing the wives becoming very attentive upon hearing this, as opposed to the Brahmanas, the boys decided to inspire them further by mentioning that Krishna and Balrama wanted some food. The coward boys said, Krishna and his friends are suffering from hunger. Indirectly they said. And let us see then what happens. Now the wives of the Brahmanas were always eager to see Krishna, for their minds had been enchanted by descriptions of him. They had heard the descriptions of Krishna and Balrama from the ladies of Vrindavana. Thus, as soon as they heard he had come, they became very excited, and taking along in large vessels the four kinds of food full of fine taste and aromas, all the ladies went forth to meet their beloved, that is Krishna, just as river flows towards the sea. Although their husbands, brothers, sons, and the other relatives tried to forbid them from going, their hope of seeing Krishna, cultivated by extensive hearing of his transcendental qualities, won out. That means they did not hear to any of their relations, including their husbands. They told them not to give food to anybody before the fire sacrifice is completed and before the Brahmanas have taken their food. But the wives of the Brahmana, they were the devotees of Krishna, and they didn't listen to anything which was spoken against the wishes of Krishna. And along the river Yamuna, within a garden decorated with buds of Asoka trees, they caught sight of him strolling along in the company of coward boys and his elder brother Balrama. From a distance, these ladies, the wives of the Brahmanas, carrying all the food for the coward boys, they saw them from a distance, decorated with buds of Asoka trees, and they were very, very happy to see them from a distance. Now, Sridhar Swami, what he is saying, the wives of the Brahmanas were eager to see Krishna because their hearts are overwhelmed by topics about him. Therefore, hearing that he had arrived nearby, they became Jata Sambrama, that is excited. The food was of four kinds, Chaturvedam, that which is chewed, that which is drunk, that which is licked, and that which is served. And the food had many qualities such as the taste and aroma due to special preparations. Although they were blocked by the husbands and others, they approached the dear one, that is Sri Krishna, like rivers rush to the sea. This is because their minds were focused due to hearing about him for a long time. Once they arrived in that manner, they saw, that is, they saw Krishna and Balrama. See here how this hearing is so important. We have to hear, and hear about the various leelas performed by the Supreme Lord, and then our mind, our intelligence, everything will be purified, and we will be able to see Krishna even while closing our eyes. And this is what was happening to the wives of the Brahmanas. They had not met Krishna ever, but they were very much attracted to him because they loved him so much. And all these things happened because they had heard about him. Now, Sanatana Goswami, what he is saying, also their minds became disturbed upon hearing about his hunger. That is, Krishna was hungry. They brought the food with vessels for eating or in the cooking vessels. Their special devotion for Krishna is indicated by a comparison of rivers rushing to the sea. And that is natural. And the devotees leaning toward the Supreme Lord, that is also natural. Now the husbands and the other family members tried to prevent them. However, nothing could stop them because of intense bhava of for the Lord, because of hearing about him for a long time.
Pardon me for interruptions, but this is a very important point to take a little pause, because we are going to pretty soon we are going to come to this Panchadhyay Rasa Leela. Very similar thing happened. Okay, there the Krishna specifically called them through his Bansi. Okay, and when they came, Krishna said, "Now you go back, because we have duty to go back." Very similar situation. Okay, exactly same situation. In this case, is going to be raised again there also. But there is a fundamental difference here in the gopis. Here, Krishna forced him to go back, as you will see in the rest of the chapter. Over there, we'll see when the gopis presented that, Krishna walked away actually. Then that Gopi Geet is there, right? And then Krishna came back, all this thing. So totally different kind of decision Krishna takes related to this. And there is a reason for that we'll see. Okay? Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Prabhuji. Thank you very much. All these things are connected, and we will be reaching the chapter 29, that is the Rasa Panchadhyay 29 to 33. Now here what is being said, however, nothing could stop them because of intense bhava in the heart of these ladies, that is the Brahmana's wives, for the Lord, because of hearing about him for a long time. And we have to hear about Krishna Katha for a long time, not 1 day or 2 days or a few years, but for a long time. Then our heart, and that is our heart and mind, will be transformed, and we will have proper bhava for the Lord. Upon their arrival, they saw Krishna attending him all sorrow. Then when they saw Krishna and Balarama from a distance, seeing them only, their sorrow vanished, and he was playing and surrounded by friends, that is Krishna. Or they saw him despite surrounded by his friends. His beauty surpassed everyone. As we know, nobody can surpass Krishna and beauty, and the ladies, they were seeing him for the first time, including Balrama. And Balrama was also extremely beautiful. The wives were addressed simply as women, Striya, to show the misfortune of their husbands. Misfortune, why? They were not devotees of the Supreme Lord. They did not understand what is the meaning of the sacrifice they were doing. The meaning of the sacrifice to attain Supreme Lord. Supreme Lord himself had come there, but they never realized because their hearts were not purified. Now, Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur is saying the wives began criticizing their minds on hearing that Krishna was hungry. Or you low mind, although you have heard that your beloved Krishna is suffering from hunger, why did you not wake up from fainting? They had fainted initially, that was told, due to conjugal feeling of the wives of the Brahmanas went to meet Krishna as if he were their paramour. In order to avoid censure of their conduct, Sukadeva Goswami compares them to rivers flowing naturally toward the sea, because they had already heard extensively around Krishna. Now let us go on to the next slide. Now his complexion is described. They saw him from a distance. How was he? His complexion was dark blue, his garment golden, wearing a peacock feather, colored minerals, sprig of flower birds, and a garland of forest flower and leaves. He was dressed just like a dramatic dancer. He rested one hand upon the shoulder of a friend, and with the other twirled a lotus. Lilies graced his ears. His hair hung down over his cheeks, and his lotus-like face was smiling. For a long time, these Brahmana ladies had heard about Krishna, their beloved, and his glories had become the constant ornaments of their ears. Indeed, their minds were always absorbed in him. Through the apertures of their eyes, they now forced him to enter within their hearts. Krishna entered through the eyes into the hearts of these ladies, and they embraced him within for a long time. And this is the way they finally gave up the pain of separation from him, just as sages give up anxiety of false ego by embracing their innermost consciousness. Now we'll only read Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur's comments. Krishna conveyed his intentions by his gestures, resting his left arm on a friend's shoulder and twirling a play lotus in his right hand. By this, Krishna was telling the ladies, I have seized within my hand your lotus hearts and I am eagerly twirling them around. Or Krishna was telling them, while seeing you who possessed loving sentiment, my lotus heart is twirling out of eagerness. Thus, on the pretext of twirling a toy lotus flower, I am revealing to you that my heart is twirling about. And this is what you should deduce from how I am acting. Their ears had become successful by hearing repeatedly about the excellent qualities of their beloved, and thus their minds became absorbed in Krishna. They brought Krishna through the doors of their eyes and made him lie down upon the lotus flower bed of their hearts. They then by embracing Krishna for a long time, they gave up their distress. And by that embrace, they fainted in the bliss of union with Krishna. And this way, they became relieved of the pain of separation from him. This resembles the sages who gain freedom from the pains of false ego by embracing inner consciousness. Now let us go to the next slide. Lord Krishna, who witnesses the thoughts of all creatures, understood how those ladies had abandoned all the worldly hopes and come there simply to see him. Thus he addressed them as follows with a smile upon his face. Welcome, O most fortunate ladies. Please sit down and make yourselves comfortable. What can I do for you? What you have come that you have come here to see me is most appropriate. He praising them. Now, Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur, what he is saying, seeing the ladies in such a state, standing stunned with the plates of food in their hands, Krishna, the witness of everyone's thoughts, began laughing and spoke. Krishna addressed the wives of the Brahmanas who were endowed with the greatest prema in a similar manner that he addressed the gopis who came for the rasa dance. Krishna said, your coming is all glorious and you are all very fortunate, Mahabhaga. Out of desire to see me, you have overcome many obstacles to come here, but I cannot repay you in any way. So, what can I do for you? I can simply remain your debtor. Please rest here for some time and take my darsana. This is what Krishna is saying when the ladies came there, because he being omnipresent, omniscient, he knows everything. He knew that their husbands and other relations, they were preventing them to come, but still they have come. And he gave them a chance to sit in front of him and have his darsana, see him. Now the next slide. Certainly expert personalities who can see their own true interest render unmotivated and uninterrupted devotional service directly unto me, for I am most dear to the soul. It is only by contact with the self that one's vital breath, intelligence, mind, friends, body, wife, children, wealth, and so on are dear. Therefore, what object can possibly be more dear than one's own self? He is talking about the self-knowledge in these two verses, 26 and 27. And what Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur is saying, skillful people, though the wives were full of the highest prema for the Supreme Lord, fulfilling their desires now would not nourish the rasa. And without nourishing the rasa, the pastimes would not be relishable. Though Krishna was moved and controlled by their prema, certainly within his mind, his Leela Sakti, the pastime potency manifested her influence to bring on a mood of Aishwarya, the majestic mood of showing himself as God, which caused Krishna to send them home. Although Krishna's opulence, Aishwarya, does not tend to manifest in the presence of personalities who have pure ecstatic love for him, still, for the purpose of keeping the pastimes perfect, it became manifest to increase the eagerness of their feelings of separation and unalloyed love. Subduing Krishna's rati, it brought out his discrimination, and thus he spoke the two verses according to the mood of Aishwarya. Krishna said, "Not only you have become attached to me, but other persons as well as have developed affection for me. Who are they? Those who expertly see to their own welfare, swartha and darshina, serve me without personal motives, ahituki, or uninterrupted of mental speculation, just as one affectionately serves one body, husband, and other things. To inspire them with intelligence, Krishna uses logic to pacify the Brahmana's wives. It is because of contact with the self that one's vital breath, intelligence, mind, friends, body, wife, children, wealth, they are very, very dear. What can more dear, what can be more dear to the self? Another reading of Krishna's statement, but actually, I, the Paramatma, the inner seer, am dearer than one's body, sons, husband, and family. And Krishna here, what has happened? He invoked his Aishwarya through the Leela Shakti and impressing the ladies. Because as Prabhuji was saying, and when we go to chapter 29 onwards, we'll realize difference between the gopis and these Brahmana's wives. These Brahmana's wives, so they are not at the same scale, same level as the gopis who had come to the Nityasiddha gopis who had come to perform rasa dance with the Supreme Lord. This also we'll see subsequently. Now you should thus return to the sacrificial arena. Like he returned the gopis, he is also telling the wives of the Brahmanas also, because your husbands, the learned Brahmanas, are householders and need your assistance to finish their respective sacrifice. Because in a sacrifice, the wives are necessary. They have to be present. Then only the end result can be achieved and the sacrifice can be completed. Like as you know, Lord Rama, he also had sent away Sita, but when he reigned Ayodhya for 11,000 years, he was also performing various sacrifices. And in those sacrifices, what used to happen, Sita's effigy used to be made in gold, and there used to be prana pratishtha also. And later on, as you know, it is given in the Shastras. These wives who took part in the sacrifices of Lord Rama, they also became gopis in Krishna Lila. Now the wives of the Brahmanas they replied, O Almighty One, please do not speak such cruel words. Rather, you should fulfill your promise that you always reciprocate with your devotees in kind. Now that we have attained your lotus feet, we simply wish to remain here in the forest, so we may carry up upon our heads the garlands of tulasi leaves that fall from your lotus feet. We are ready to give up all material relationships. They were ready to give up their family life and they wanted to stay with Krishna. They never wanted to go back to the sacrificial arena. But Krishna is telling them, please go back. Now Sridhar Swami is saying, therefore being successful, you should go to the sacrificial arena. In case they argue, why should we go if we are successful? He says, husbands and so on, for the sake of your husbands, please go back. Do not speak such harsh words. Make your promise come true that your devotees do not perish, or make the Veda come true. One does not return again. Now, Sanatana Goswami is saying, your husbands will complete the first part of the sacrifice. You should go since they are grihasthas and without being, so they cannot perform the sacrifice, nor they can be grihasthas without you being their wives by their side. The wife should say, you know, both our inside and outsides completely. Your heart being soft and mercy, you cannot be cruel to us. And Jiva Goswami
Exactly, same kind of play, same kind of the gopis were pleading. Remember,
Yes.
we'll see in that same kind of exactly very similar situation, you know. And Krishna also gave them a big lecture about your duties and everything like that, you know, because they left their families and they came to see Krishna in the middle of the night in the forest, and Krishna was sending them back, you know. But there Krishna changed his mind later on, you know, when they pleaded me. Here also the wives are pleading very, really mercifully. They're pleading that we cannot go back. But you'll say rest of this chapter's verses, Krishna was firm and he did send them back. And they had no other option but to obey Krishna.
Let us go on to the next slide. What Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur is saying, because Krishna is saying, because I am the super soul Paramatma, and you have heard from Gargamuni, therefore I am always embracing your bodies. That is, the Lord is within our heart, that is, He is already embracing our bodies. Therefore, return to the sacrificial area. And the Brahmana's wives replied, that may be, but how can we return? They are giving up you, who are directly the Paramatma standing before us. Now Krishna would say, your husbands need your assistance to complete the sacrificial rituals which have been explained by me in the Vedas. Therefore, go and perform those activities before, according to my order, and you will be able to see me directly there as well. Here the Brahmana's wives speak the same line that the gopis, Krishna, Param Premi Bhaktas said in the beginning of the Rasa dance when Krishna told them to go home as well. That is given in 29 chapter, 31st verse. The Brahmana's wife said, O powerful Lord, you should not speak such cruel words. In the Chandogya Upanishad, Nigama says, one who enters the spiritual world never returns to the material world of birth and death. You should make your words come true. Ye atha mam prapadyante tam tathaiva bhajamyam. If one surrenders to me, I will reward him, given in the Bhagavad Gita. And mamai prapadyante mayam etam tarantite. Those who surrender unto me can easily cross beyond the difficulties. You young ladies are members of the aristocratic Brahmana community. So how can how can you surrender at the feet of a mere coward boy? And the wives they would say, but we have already surrendered by taking the dust of your lotus feet on our heads. And since we desire to become your servant, we are obviously not maintaining a false identification as members of the Brahmana community. You can easily ascertain this from our words. Krishna would say, I am a coward boy, and those who are coward girls are suitable to me by maidservants and lovers. The wives would say, true, let them be, let them shine forth. If you are embarrassed in front of your relatives to make Brahmana ladies your maidservant, we certainly don't want to embarrass you. will not go to your village, but will rather remain in Vrindavana like presiding deities of the forest. And that means they didn't want to go home. We simply desire to perfect our lives by contact with you. We will be happy to remain at a distance and simply pick up the tulasi leaves that have fallen from your feet or which have been crushed by the feet of your lovers after they have embraced you, or which have fallen under your flower bed and have been mercifully given to us by your servants. We'll bind these tulasi leaves in our hair. We'll not aspire to become your intimate girlfriends or maidservant because that position is very difficult to achieve. Then Krishna would say, but will your family members not object? The wives would say, if they do, they will reject them, will reject them and immediately come to you. This is what is the discussion going on. And next, let us see Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur's, because I am the very super soul, as you have heard, this we have seen the last portion. Young ladies are members of the aristocratic family community, so how can you surrender at the lotus feet of a coward boy? The wife should say, but you have already surrendered by taking the dust. This thing we saw earlier. Let us go to the next. The wife should say, our husbands, fathers, sons, brothers, and our relatives and friends will no longer take us back. And how could anyone else be willing to give us shelter? Therefore, since we have thrown ourselves at your lotus feet and have no other destination, please, O chastiser of enemies, grant our desire. The Supreme Personality of Godhead replied, rest assured that your husbands will not be inimical towards you, nor will your fathers, brothers, sons, and other relatives or the general populace. I will personally advise them of this situation. Indeed, even if the demigods will express their approval, and Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur would say, and the wives of the Brahmanas said, from our youth we have heard about the sweetness of your form and qualities from the flower ladies and the betel nut sellers of Vrindavana. This is how they came to know about Krishna, which was not known even to the husbands of these ladies. Consequently, we have fallen in love with you and become indifferent to our household duties. That means they have achieved the highest perfection, and seeing us deviating, our husbands have become doubtful and no longer deal with us. After this, they will not accept us in the house. And with this in mind, they speak this verse. Now, Sutta Goswami refers to their married sons and others means the neighbors. Now, the Brahmana's wives were ready to formally reject their families and neighbors, and weeping, they touched their heads to Krishna's feet and said in choked voices, as we have no other shelter, you should do something, O killer of the enemies, Arindama. Please vanquish the obstacles which prevent us from attaining you. Krishna then replied, since you have pure love for me and are dedicated to my happiness, you should not do something which is against my intentions. Do not be stubborn like this, but return home. The wives replied, O topmost of learned personalities, being women from aristocratic families, even the sun does not touch us. We have disobeyed our husbands, neglecting them as insignificant as blades of grass, and come a long way from our village to be near you, who are famous throughout Braja and being licentious. If we try to return home, our husbands and others won't allow us to enter the village, and out of anger, they will surely kill us. Anticipating this, Krishna answers, saying, there is no use in unfounded fears. Your husbands will not find any fault with you. What to speak of others, such as mothers and fathers? Why? Even if you were to intimately associate with me, which you have not done yet, they will not find fault because they know that I am the supreme Lord of everyone. Your husbands, seeing the demigods at their sacrifice, will ask them about this matter and they will give their approval. The demigods and all learned men of the past are in agreement that I am the supreme lord of all living beings. And for you to remain in my bodily association would certainly not please people in this world, nor would it be the best way for you to increase your love for me. Rather, you should fix your minds on me, and very soon you will achieve me. It is by hearing about me, seeing my deity form, meditating upon me, chanting my names and glories, that love for me develops, not by physical proximity. Here, basically, what he is saying, physical proximity is secondary, but one should realize, one should remember Krishna in separation. That's what the gopis were doing. They are expert in this. That's why they are the best in this complete universe. Therefore, please go back to your homes. And Sukadeva Goswami is saying, thus instructed the wives of the Brahmanas returned to the place of worship sacrifice. The Brahmanas did not find any fault with their wives, as told by Krishna, as predicted by Krishna, and together with them they finished the sacrifice. And Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur is saying, the wives said, then will our desires ever be fulfilled or not? Krishna said, since you are asking for this, your with your tearful sidelong glances, I will repay thus. The people in this world will not appreciate it if you stay with me. It is also not for the best way to increase your love for me. Longing in separation will increase more intense attraction toward me. Therefore, absorb your minds in me and you will attain me very soon. The wives of the Brahmanas obeyed Krishna's orders and returned to their husbands' houses. Then let us see then what happens. One of the ladies had been forcibly kept back by their husband. When she heard the others describe the Supreme Lord Krishna, she embraced him within the heart and gave up her material body, the basis of bondage to material activity. Now, such a type of thing we will also see in the Rasa Panchadhyayi also. And what Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur is saying, the lady restrained here by her husband was especially devoted to Krishna. She gave up her material body, but she did not give up her spiritual body, which was filled with prema due to her intense love in separation from Krishna. That spiritual body was kept hidden by the Supreme Lord, who manifested himself to her. In that body, which was purely spiritual and invisible to all, she quickly left that place and went to Krishna. And after having given up one's husband and other objects of attachment, it is surprising that someone also gives up the material body to meet Krishna. To show the power of Krishna Prema, Krishna's Kripa Shakti, mercy potency, made that one lady at that time, when all the wives went to meet Krishna, give up the material body by which is the cause of one's bondage to material activity, and arrange for her to receive the spiritual body, which is one's connection with pure love of God. Like a touchstone, the Kripa Shakti transformed the other wives' material bodies into pure spiritual bodies as well. Thus, from that day onward, the Brahmana ladies had no more contact with their husbands. In this way, what is impossible for the Kripa Shakti of Krishna, one cannot say whether that one Brahmana lady was superior in her bhakti to the others or not, since there is no distinction, there is no indication given in the scripture. But in any case, all of them became perfect by the mercy of Krishna, as described in Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu. Kripa Siddha Yajna Patni Virochani Sukhadaya. Those who became perfect by receiving Lord's mercy, such as the wives of the Brahmana, the son of Virochana Bali and Sukha. Go to the next slide. Govinda, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, fed the coward boys with that food of 4 varieties. Then all-powerful Lord himself partook the preparations. Thus the Supreme Lord, appearing like a human being to perform his pastimes, imitated the ways of human society He enjoyed pleasing his coward boyfriends and coward girlfriends with his beauty, words, and actions. And Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur is saying, as Krishna is Bhagavan, the possessor of the powers in front of him, the Brahmana lady gave up her material body. Unseen by others, she met Govinda in her spiritual body and then experienced unlimited pleasures. And with her unlimited transcendental senses, then the food was inadequate to feed all the coward boys. But Krishna caused all their bellies to be completely filled. Though Krishna had no desire to eat, he also ate to show mercy to the coward boys, or because he was feeling remorse at having made the Brahmana's wives break their vows. In this way, Krishna did not directly enjoy with the wives of the Brahmanas, but he did enjoy with the wives of the coward men. This is the intention of this verse. Lila Naravaku means the Krishna appeared as a human being to release his pastimes. It indicates that because of the predominance of Lila Shakti over Krishna's other Shaktis, such as Satya Sankalpa Shakti, potency to fulfill his desires, the pastime with the Brahmana's wives did not culminate in direct enjoyment. Enjoying himself with the cows, coward men, and gopis, Krishna overwhelmed them with bliss by his form, words, action. Gopinam refers to the young gopis rather than the elderly ones with maternal affection because of the time and context of the verse. Implied here is the refutation to the opinion that prior to the Rasa dance, Krishna did not enjoy with the young Brajagopis. Sukadev Goswami indicates Krishna performed many pastimes similar to Rasa dance with the Brajagopis, but these have not been mentioned by me. Next, the Brahmanas then came to their senses and began to feel remorse. Once their wives came back, they accepted them and they accepted their mistake also. They thought, we have sinned, for we have denied the request of the two lords of the universe who deceptively appeared as ordinary human beings. Taking note of the wife's pure transcendental devotion to Lord Krishna, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and seeing their own lack of devotion to the Brahmanas, felt most sorrowful and began to condemn themselves. The Brahmanas said, to hell with our threefold birth, our vow of celibacy, our extensive learning, to hell with our aristocratic background and our expertise in the rituals of sacrifice. These are all condemned because we are inimical to the transcendental personality of the Godhead, that is Adokyaja. The Brahmanas remembered Krishna constantly and became repentant due to auspicious presence of their wives. This is what is the meaning. Then next, the illusory potency of the Supreme Lord certainly bewilders even the great mystics. What to speak of us as Brahmanas? We are supposed to be the spiritual masters of all classes of men, yet we have been bewildered about our own real interest. Just to see the unlimited love these women have developed for Lord Krishna, the spiritual master of the universe. The love has spoken for them the very bonds of death, their attachment to family life. As they are saying, they have developed their love for the Guru of the universe and now don't have even a trace of attachment for home, husband, children, and so forth. As we no longer see these detached attachments in them, they are our gurus. And from that day onwards, the husbands accepted these ladies as their worshipable spiritual masters and no longer thought of them as their wives or property. Then these women have never become never undergone the purificatory rites of the twice born classes, nor they have been lived like brahmacharis in the ashrama of a spiritual master, nor have they executed austerities, speculated on the nature of the self, followed the formalities of cleanliness, or engaged in pious rituals. Nevertheless, they have firm devotion for the Supreme Lord Krishna, whose glories are chanted by the exalted hymns of the Vedas, and who is the supreme master of all masters of mystic power. So we can, on the other hand, have no such devotion for the Lord, although we have executed all these processes. In that, infatuated as we are with our household affairs, we have deviated completely from the realm of real aim of our life. But now just see how the Lord, through the words of this simple coward boy, has reminded us of the ultimate destination of the true transcendentalist. Now the Brahmachari said, we cannot understand how our wives have, the Brahmana said, we cannot understand how our wives have developed such extraordinary love for Krishna. Now, otherwise, why should the Supreme Controller, whose every desire is already fulfilled, and who is the master of liberation and all other transcendental benedictions, enact this pretense with us, who are always to be controlled by him, hoping for the touch of his lotus feet? The goddess of fortune perpetually worships him alone, leaving aside all others and renouncing her pride and fickleness. That he begs is certainly astonishing to everyone. And then next slide. All the aspects of sacrifice, the auspicious place and time, the various items of paraphernalia, the Vedic hymns, the prescribed rituals, the priests, the sacrificial fires, the demigods, the patrons of the sacrifice, the sacrificial offering, and the pious results obtained, all are simply manifestations of his opulence. Yet, even though we had heard that the Supreme Personality of Godhead Vishnu, the Lord of all mystic powers, has taken birth in the Yadu dynasty, we are so foolish that we could not recognize Sri Krishna to be none other than him. Let us offer our obeisances unto Lord Krishna, the Supreme Personality of Godhead. His intelligence is never bewildered, whereas we, confused by his power of illusion, are simply wandering about on the path of fruitive work. We were bewildered by Lord Krishna's illusory potency and thus could not understand his influence as the original personality of Godhead. Now we hope he will be kind to forgive our offense. Now the next slide. Thus, reflecting on the sin they had committed by neglecting Lord Krishna, they became very eager to see him, but being afraid of King Kamsa, they did not dare to go to Braja. Now, after realizing their offense against Krishna, and finally appreciating his almighty position, why did the Brahmanas not just rush to Braja and surrender at the lotus feet of the Lord? The answer given in this verse. At that moment, the Brahmanas were bewildered by grief and guilt and were not in agreement as to the proper course of action. Thus, they did not go to the Asoka grove to meet Krishna, who was nearby only. And even by the end of the day, although they were all in agreement, they still could not go to Braja. The word indicates they tried to move but could not. Suddenly, at the same time, they all felt the presence of Kamsa. The Brahmanas were afraid of that Kamsa would suddenly kill them if his spies reported that they had gone to Krishna. The fear of being killed, however, did not create any obstacle for their wives being absorbed in the ecstatic Krishna consciousness. The Brahmana's wives immediately went to Krishna, just as the gopis, simply to dance with the Lord, traveled in the dead of the night through the forest full of ferocious animals. It should be understood that because the Brahmanas were not on such an advanced platform as Krishna consciousness, the shadow of fear in their minds kept them from seeing the face of Lord Krishna. Now, this is what is the difference between the devotees and non-devotees. So, with this, I come to an end of today's class. Now the session is open for your comments and questions. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna Prabhu,
Good
Dandavat
job.
Pranam Prabhu.
Dandavat
Thank you.
Pranam, Prabhuji. Welcome back.
Thank you, Prabhu. Thank you so much. Thanks for a wonderful class, Prabhu. Just a one question, Prabhu, because I know it is the time is already running out. So you did mention that I lost that point when you said they asked the Balrama's name first, then Krishna's name second. I lost that connection. What you explained, Prabhu. Could you
Okay,
quickly just
basically, what is the reason? Everybody knows Balrama is a Kshatriya. When a Kshatriya asks a Brahmana, he will easily give charity, but not to a Vaishya or a Sudra. So that's why the intention was to take Balrama's name first, then Krishna's name. That is what is told in the
Oh,
story.
sure, Prabhu. But how this is when we do the bhakti, we ask Lord Nityananda first, then we'll go to Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. How we are connecting that incident here in this story, Prabhu?
Here, what you see, we saw the Brahmanas, they are not the devotees. They did not have bhakti. That's why ultimately they realized at the end, seeing their wives.
Okay.
But in the case of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and Nityananda Prabhu, now Chaitanya Mahaprabhu has specifically told first one should offer obeisances to Nityananda Prabhu, then to Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. This is what is the thing. This is as per the orders of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu.
Okay.
But he is an expansion of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu only. But here,
Yes.
Another reason also, remember, Nityananda Prabhu is the supreme guru, and we go to Krishna through guru. We don't directly go, So
Yes,
that's
Prabhu.
why Chaitanya Mahaprabhu said that, Nityananda, he is the personification, the ultimate guru, So
Yes.
that's the reason was there in that case,
Yes. He represents the Guru Tattva, Prabhu. Yes.
Yes, exactly.
yes,
Okay.
Exactly.
Okay. Sure. Thank you
Like
so
here,
much.
you notice that here notice that
Balrama.
the boys did not follow that instructions they were given to them.
Yeah.
They still evoked Krishna first because of their extreme love for him.
Correct. Sure.
Like Nityananda Prabhu is Guru Tattva, Balrama is Guru Tattva, Lakshmana is also Guru Tattva.
Sure, Prabhu. Thank you so much, Prabhu. Thank you so much for a wonderful class. Hare
So
Krishna.
good to see you,
Hare
Prabhu,
Krishna
back
Prabhu, Dandavat Pranam.
with us.
Thank you, Prabhu. Thank you so much. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna Prabhu, Dandavat Pranam Prabhu.
Hare
Thank you very much,
Krishna.
Prabhu. Such a wonderful session. Thank you very much. Like one question, Prabhu. Like here there is a Dharma Sukshma mentioned, Prabhu, where cowherd boys were hungry. That is what is mentioned, and Krishna and Balaram also hungry. That is what is mentioned, Prabhu. When boys went to and asked Brahmanas, okay, then Brahmanas are ignored, okay, because they are busy with their sacrifice, Prabhu. But like in our regular world, Prabhu, in general world, I'm trying to correlate this, Prabhu. A beggar comes or somebody hungry person comes to our house, or a beggar comes like now you are doing a sacrifice or you are doing a puja, you are busy with that. So in that situation, like we should stop that and we should satisfy the person who came to in front of our gate, even if you don't have any kind of old food, okay, even we just cook the food, okay, which we want to offer to Krishna, even that we can give it to Prabhu before even offering to Krishna if someone is really hungry. That is a lesson we have to learn now and implement, is my question, Prabhu. It's very normal question because Brahmanas don't know that Krishna and Balarama are supreme. They don't know that. Okay. So they were thinking that, yeah, they want to offer that to maybe Vishnu. Okay. Because that is their priority in their understanding.
Okay,
Yes, Prabhu.
there are two things here. Suppose in our house you have prepared food, that is the prasada for the Lord, and at that time the Supreme Lord himself comes to your house and you recognize him. What will you do? You will offer it to your deity in the mandir, or you will offer to the Supreme Lord if you know him?
If I know that he is a Supreme Lord, I offer it directly to him, Prabhu.
Yes, but here the case is little different. Here the case is little different. Here they are doing a sacrifice, that is the fire sacrifice, and these boys had come to ask them for food. Now these boys they reminded that though it is not permitted, but since the sacrificial animal has been already sacrificed, that means that action has been completed. There is no fault in giving food to them in that case also.
Means yajna is completed. Is that you are trying to say?
No, no, the fire sacrifice is not completed, but another the portion has been completed, and as per that, it is permitted in the Shastras, one can partake food.
Okay, understood.
The
And
other thing, there are two things, Prabhuji. Two explanations are there. Remember, this is a situation is quite different. Okay, here they're performing fire sacrifice, and you know what the role Agnidev performs, right? Because they were trying to please the demigods, devas, because they intend to go to heavenly planets. So when you offer ahuti into the Agni Kunda, the Agni takes that ahuti and give it to the
Devata.
all the way to the devas, right? So that was all their purpose.
Okay.
What Bhagavad Gita says, Vedeschi sarva eham vedyo Vedanta krit vedvid. So those people who do these Vedic sacrifices and they don't know the very meaning that Krishna is the Veda personified, then whatever the knowledge of Vedas that you know, it is of absolutely no value. Okay, that's one example. Other example, the Ranti Dev. You know the Ranti Dev story?
Yes,
So, do you want that Ranti Dev story? Remember, Indra himself came to test his resolve. And he came there, it was Ekadasi or something like that. Prabhuji, do you remember that story? That when they came one by one, and Rantidev actually did not get to eat anything at all. Finally, they first treated the Bhikshuka that happened there, the guest who arrived there. Until then, he could not do that, So one has to consider the situation and in the context in which that particular instruction is given. All right. Here they were worshipping devas.
Okay,
So
got
in
it.
our situation, actually, right when the food is being cooked, what we normally do, the Matajis, they directly worship, they offer the bhogas to the Lord. Okay. In that time, afterwards, it is completely allowed others to eat. Of course, they will first serve the devotees, then it becomes a Mahaprasada. Once you serve the Lord, it becomes Prasada, and then the senior devotees are first fed, and then they become Mahaprasada. Senior devotees, it doesn't mean that you have to serve the Brahmanas first, but the devotee Brahmanas, okay? Not the ritualistic Brahmana we are talking about. The whole lesson here we are learning the ritualistic Brahmana. They did not realize the supreme nature of Shri Krishna.
Okay, understood, Prabhu. Now I understood the context. That is the reason where Krishna wants to show the mercy, okay, by through this particular Leela. Understood.
Yes,
He wants to
exactly.
show that mercy to Brahmanas,
He's
saying that
teaching
I am the supreme.
this lesson is teaching us very, very important lesson actually. Okay. And
Yeah,
the
in
and
many
the
aspects it
Brahmana's
is.
wives' case that we are going to revisit when we talk about this Panchadhyay Leela, very similar situation happened. Very similar arguments were put forward. Krishna also tried to send them back, even though Krishna himself invited them to come to him in the middle of the forest. And he gave the same kind of lecture to them that you are the wives and you must owe your duties, responsibility to your husband, and all these kind of things. But see, those gopis at a different level than the Brahmana's wives here. Okay, very different level. The
They
gopi
don't.
bhava was different, And those gopis, remember, they were eternal associate of the Lord in Golok Vrindavan Dham. Many of them, not every one of them, many of them, Nitya Siddhas. This Brahmana's wives are in a completely different platform here.
Got it, Prabhu.
So
Understood.
everything is context driven,
They're all
You have to
context driven
understand-
at different levels. All the
Exactly.
devotees, but at different levels, different
Exactly.
bhavas. Got it, Prabhu.
Yeah.
Thank you very much, Prabhu. Thank you very much.
Just a
तो
second.
प्रभु जी यहाँ पे हम भगवत गीता का लास्ट 73 वर्ष कनेक्ट कर सकते हैं, करिष्ये वचनत्व, भगवान
ये
जो
बोले-
कहते हैं वो करना चाहिए,
Exactly, yes. And
है ना?
भगवान देखो युधिष्ठिर महाराज को बोला कि you speak lie, right? And so, but Yudhishthira up to that point he never spoken lies. But for him he did that. Arjuna, he was forced to break Kshatriya rule not to kill someone who has no weapons in his hand. Karna was doing that exactly. He was trying to lift the wheel which was stuck in the mud there, right? But Krishna said, no, you have to kill him right now. This is the only opportunity. So whatever, ultimately the last verse in Bhagavad Gita, what Sanjay says, whatever the morality principle, everything what Krishna decides, because that's the ultimate, much higher principle is involved. The so-called injustice, what Krishna did that, it's all explained in that kind of sense. Ultimately, he wanted to install Yudhishthira Maharaj, the righteous king. So that was the ultimate dharma. Okay. So for that reason, and remember, Kauravas broke many rules along the way also. So you have to understand many of these situations. It is kind of sometimes it's difficult to understand. So that's why you follow all our Acharya's comments.
So Prabhuji, it is proved that here it is proved Bhoktaram Yajna Tapasya. Bhagwan is
Yes.
only Bhoktaram.
And remember that Akshay Patra story, you know that? Akshay Patra?
Yes.
When Krishna is satisfied, everyone is satisfied. Durvasa Muni was sent by Duryodhana to humiliate the Pandavas in the forest, right? And he wanted Durvasa Muni to curse them. But what ultimately happened? Because Draupadi had this Akshay Patra, which was given to her by Suryadev. So then everybody had it. And Akshay Patra, the rule, when everybody's done, and Akshay Patra put the tulsi leaves in there, then it will not give more food. Otherwise, it will keep on giving food, no matter how many thousands of disciples comes there, right? But that time, what happened? When Draupadi was in a Dharma Sankata, so Krishna came in that time when she prayed and said, let me see if there are any grains left over. And only few grains were left over. When Krishna did that, ate that, the Durvasa Muni and all his 10,000 plus disciples completely felt satisfied. All the hunger was gone. So ultimately, when Krishna becomes satisfied by our bhakti, by our this thing, all our, so there is a swadharma and a parodharma, right? When you do your parodharma, all the swadharma, our ultimate responsibilities that we may have, family, wife, children, society, and so on like that, everything is taken care of if we first do our parodharma. Bhagavatam mein verse hai wo, second chapter, first canto, the verse is there, ahetu ki that particular verse.
सवे पुंसा परो धर्मो यतो भक्ति अदोक्षते अहेतुकी अप्रतिहता यत्मासु प्रतिष्ठिति.
Exactly, that same verse. Thank you. So we must all do to satisfy Krishna first. Everything else is going to be done. Hare Krishna. Any other
और प्रभु
questions,
जी
comments?
और प्रभु जी दूसरे भी बहुत ही अच्छी है, स्त्रियों में ज्यादा फेथ और सॉफ्ट हार्ट की वजह से भगवान के प्रति
Exactly.
बहुत ही
भगवान
प्रेम
जल्दी
ज्यादा होता है।
स्त्रियों के प्रति जल्दी भगवान खुश होता है क्योंकि the ladies have that pure emotions and निखालसता, गुजरात में वर्ड है निखालसता, straightforward,
हाँ
straight
प्रभु जी,
mind. They don't have any kind of, ulterior motives, nothing like that. They really worship naturally. Men have difficulties because men have this man ego, right? They don't have the kind of soft heart, soft feelings that women generally are blessed with.
false
Hare
ego, that is false ego.
Krishna. Man ego.
Any other question or comment?
Hare Krishna Prabhuji, Dandavat Pranam. Thank you so much. Wonderful class, Prabhuji. Also very excellent recap by Raksha Mataji. Prabhuji, I wanted to ask a very basic question. So after the Brahmana's wives, they returned, and when they realized their folly, how exactly they realized that they have done this big aparad by turning down the request of Lord Krishna? How, like,
Okay.
did they? Yeah.
You are asking the Brahmanas, they didn't know when the boys had come to ask food, but when their wives they returned, how did they come to know? Now, as we saw, Krishna had already told the wives of the Brahmanas that you go, they will accept. That means Krishna, by his own energy, by his Lila Shakti, he is getting all these the Leelas done. That means he would have inspired in the minds of the Brahmanas to take back the wives and realize their mistake. That's why they did. Otherwise, in some other circumstances, this may not happen.
Okay, Prabhuji. Thank you. Because this point was not mentioned, I was wondering how did they suddenly realize a mistake? Thank you.
Okay, any other question? If
Whatever explanation has been.
no questions, then can I complete the Rantidev story?
Yes, Prabhu.
प्रभु जी वन पॉइंट बहुत ही अच्छा लगा
प्रभु
कि जो ब्राह्मण की वाइफ थी, जो उन्होंने मन को कैसे डांटा कि अरे भगवान भूखे हैं तो अब तुमने क्या किया। मतलब इसमें से हमें बहुत अच्छा लेसन लेना चाहिए कि हम भी जब भी साधक जो है भगवान के लिए भोग बनाने में कभी भी आलस नहीं करनी चाहिए। भगवान को बहुत ही अच्छे से भोग लगाना, ईगरली सब प्रिपरेशन करना चाहिए। वो टेक अवे मैसेज बहुत अच्छा लगा प्रभु जी ये।
Yes, but that feeling does not come in us automatically because we have not reached up to that level. The Brahmanis, they were at a much higher level. You see, finally they could see Krishna in person. So that is their greatness. One
And
should
even how they heard all about Krishna right there in Mathura city, right? When they used to go and sell their milk products and everything else, So they had
श्रवणम इज
heard
मोस्ट
the
इम्पोर्टेंट।
glorification of Krishna from Mathura. And that created that bhava in them.
Yes.
तो प्रभु जी
They were pretty
that was श्रृणवता स्वकथा कृष्णा वाला।
Yeah, correct.
We
That's
can
the one.
connect this.
So
Yeah?
simply hearing, the bhakti develops right there. There's the first and very first step in Navada Bhakti.
Any other question? Okay, one or two points regarding these classes. You would have already seen Charu Prabhuji has already circulated the new schedule of the classes. in that the basic change has been made in the Rasa Panchadhyaya. Instead of 7, there are 11 sessions now. Now, another point is, as you know, Rasa Panchadhyaya is coming shortly, that is the chapters 29 to 33. They are the heart of Srimad Bhagavatam, and they are most confidential. That's why all are requested to think if they are eligible to hear them. Though we have heard also much more confidential things like Ujjwala Nilamani and all that. I hope everybody feels each one is eligible to hear, but that is most confidential. And please do not reveal these things to anybody and everybody. Only those things which are supposed to be talked about should be talked. Otherwise, the confidential things should not be disclosed to anybody other than a devotee. I will not say devotee, but advanced devotee. Those who have knowledge about these things, otherwise they will commit aparadha. And in that aparadha, the one who gives this knowledge, he or she will also be responsible. Please remember these things very, very carefully.
Because all of you have been taking this classes right from beginning, and you all heard the first 9 cantos, and I presume everybody's chanting Hare Krishna, so that makes you all qualified, okay?
Any other question or comments?
तो प्रभु जी लाइव टेलीकास्ट होगा कि नहीं होगा वो चैप्टर्स के कि सिर्फ रिकॉर्डिंग होगा?
I think recording will be there, but live telecast, I'm not sure really.
It should not
प्रभु जी,
be telecasted in YouTube because we don't know who will watch.
Exactly. That's what I'm reluctant.
यस प्रभु जी, ये हमें ये स्टॉप कर सकते प्रभु जी, लाइव टेलीकास्ट नहीं करेंगे.
Especially this Panchadhyaya that we are going to be talking about. They are the
Yes, Prabhuji.
most confidential topics.
Yes, प्रभु जी.
I would not feel comfortable, you know.
सिर्फ रिकॉर्डिंग रखेंगे प्रभु जी.
Recording for the
Only for us.
devotees.
Only for
Yeah.
us. Yes, प्रभु जी.
Thank you all. And Sharad Prabhuji, once again, congratulate you.
Thank you, Prabhuji. Another point, Charu Prabhuji has added 3 devotees for recap.
Four devotees I added, but again, I've added assuming they will take. We both not Charu, Sharad Prabhuji and myself requested quite long time. We need 2 more devotees, at least 2 more, preferably 3, you know. But none of them came forward. So I took liberty to select 4 of you and edit there, but still giving you a freedom. If you don't feel comfortable, you don't need to. By the way, I also wanted Radha Vinod Prabhu to also come, and I asked him personally also in one of the classes, and I wanted to make you deputize right away to really add your, you know, but I didn't have your email address, you know. That's why
as I mentioned that I need February, March, and then I'll be free. So I think I mentioned you at that time itself.
So this is the whole month of March we are talking about, okay?
Yeah.
And this is for the recap seva. But this is going to be a special recap seva. We are going to be doing a little bit differently than we have been doing so far, okay?
Okay.
And I sent a whole long message to my teammates, the way how I'm going to operate on that sense, you know. But I did not share with everyone. So Radhavinath Prabhu, I would like you to be part of this team, and still you'll have a freedom, you know. It's up to you.
Okay,
but it's my personal wish. You are very qualified. I would like you to consider that, okay?
Okay, thank you.
And we really need 3 or 4 devotees, those who are, senior enough, advanced enough. And I consider you in that category. Okay, thank you. So, Sir Prabhuji, if it's okay with you, let's conclude the class.
Prabhuji, then we can conclude today's class with the Nrsimha prayers.
Yes, Prabhuji. Thank you, Prabhuji, for so wonderful
Oh, one
class.
more before you conclude the class. Since Samita Mataji is here, what is the situation about tomorrow's class? Is she be able to do it?
She is prepared. We have already discussed and clarified the issues. She will be taking the class.
All right. Okay. Thank you.
Namaste Narasimhaya. Namaste Narasimhaya. Praladalaadaine. Praladalaadaine. Hiranyakashipurvakshaha. Hiranyakashipurvakshaha. Shilatankanakalaye. Shilatankanakalaye. Ito nirsimho parato nirsimho. Ito nirsimho parato nirsimho. Yato yamitato nirsimho. Yato yamitato nirsimho. Bahi nirsimho hridaye nirsimho. Bahi nirsimho hridaye nirsimho. Narasimhamadim sharanam prapadye. Narasimhamadim sharanam prapadye. Tavakarakamalavari nakam adbhuta shringam dalita hiranyakashipo tanubringam keshavadrita narahari rupa jaya jagadisha hare. Jaya Jagadisha Hare. Jaya Jagadisha Hare. Jaya Keshavadrita Narahari Rupa. Jaya Jagadisha Hare. Jaya Jagadisha Hare. Jaya Jagadisha Hare. Jaya Nrsingadev, Jaya Nrsingadev, Jaya Nrsingadev, Jaya Nrsingadev, Jaya Lakshmi Narasimha, Jaya Prahlad Maharaj, Jaya Lakshmi Narasimha, Jaya Prahlad Maharaj, Jaya Jaya Prabhupada. Prabhupada, Prabhupada, Jaya Jaya Prabhupada. भक्ति विघ्न विनाश के लक्ष्मी नृसिंह भगवान की जय. प्रहलाद नृसिंह भगवान की जय. श्री प्रहलाद महाराज की जय. श्रील प्रभुपाद की जय. अनंत कोटि वैष्णव भक्त की जय. Thank you very much, Prabhuji and Mataji. Dandavad pranam.
Thank you, Mataji. Thank you. Haribol, everyone. Thank you.
Thank you, Bhaiji. Thank you,
Thank you,
Shruti.
Prabhuji. Sorry, Prabhuji. So wonderful class. Thank you, Prabhuji. Thank you, Acharya Prabhuji. Dandavad pranam. Happy
Thank you,
Ekadasi to all.
Thank you, everyone. Happy Ekadasi, everybody, too.